there again. Facebook Live, doing it on a Friday. I figured it would be prudent to do it on a Friday. Wait, by the way, I want to make sure I'm actually live. Suzanne, on the phone. Am I live?
Yeah, I can see you're good. It's a go.
Good. You see two wops?
Two old Italian guys.
Yeah, you see that? I think she hung up.
She hung up already.
Yeah, she doesn't like me that much.
And she's Italian, so she knew what was coming.
No, she's
anyway.
British, but I think she's married to a wop. With there's like more vowels than consonants in that name. I literally had family members named A-I-O-U-O. I'm not making that up.
I believe that.
The Aeolis. I mean, think about it.
The Aeolis, yeah, sure. That makes sense. I grew up with the Aiellos.
So you get what I'm talking
Absolutely.
about, right? Yeah. All right, so yeah, she's saying I'm good to go.
Nice.
All right, so folks, here's what we're going to do today. I have the great Jeff Cesario here in the studio. It literally smells like olive oil in here at this point. And we're going to do a Facebook Live. We're going to take your questions. And on top of that, we're going to do a podcast at the same time because that's the way I like to roll. I like to be efficient. So here goes with the podcast. So this is going to sound a little weird for you guys on Facebook, but here goes. I am Vinnie Tortorich here again on the Friday show. This is the one where where we usually bring in a luminary. Not sure if this guy's a luminary on anything today, but he is here, and he is a funny guy. If anyone has lived anywhere in or around Los Angeles for the past 20 years, he's been on the radio doing a character called Chet Waterhouse. It's been going on for about that long, right?
About that long. I started on K-Rock out here in the early 90s.
By the way, that's Jeff Cesario you guys are hearing. Jeff,
hello.
So we can go back and forth to Chet Waterhouse, but
anytime.
The first time I even heard you mention was, and this is going to really take me back, was Johnny Carson. I mean, you go back to Johnny Carson days.
Yes, I did the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, with Johnny 7 times, and then with Jay back then about 8 times. I did banged out about 15 in about a 4-year period, which was the speed bag of comedy at that point. So I was.
What year are we talking about for that? The first time you went on Carson, what's that?
87.
Because.
And then 91, 92, I started to tail off because I got behind the camera with Dennis Miller Live, and I started to executive produce and stuff like that. And I kind of dug it, so I stayed behind the camera.
Yeah. So Carson, our generation, look, I tell people all the time, here's how television used to work. The biggest audience that you would ever see in recent years, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, was that talent show? What's the one where they sing and
American Idol?
American Idol. You sound a little pitchy, dog.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, number one, I don't know what pitchy means. I don't know what it sound pitchy, dog. And it's like that's the whole show, right?
Well, we live in a different time now where there is no chance for young artists to pay their dues in the privacy of a shithole club somewhere.
Right.
Everything has to be on TV or somebody's filming it on their camera. It's a two-way street. You have to, if you're a young comedian or performer coming up in show business now, you almost have to do that to try to brand yourself.
Yeah. Because
that's the whole ball game now. But back then, I mean, I remember Steven Tyler was a judge from Aerosmith. Steven Tyler, one of the greatest singers of all time.
Yeah.
Another guinea.
Tallarico. People don't realize that.
Yeah.
He changed his name from Steven Tallarico just to get a gig.
Yeah. Great songwriter. He was a judge on that, and he kept saying almost the whole first year, and I know it was driving the producers insane, but he was saying, you're good, but you should go back to the clubs for 10 years and just sing, and then you'll come out with an identity, and you'll make all those mistakes in private, and that's not the way it's done anymore. So you got to get used to it if you're a young performer and figure out a way to pay your dues and get better while at the same time being public with your stuff, which I can't imagine. The whole thing is crazy, but the point I wanted to make, that this is going to happen throughout this whole podcast is going to meander because when you get two wops behind two mics, it's over with. The fact that anything will come out of this podcast will be amazing.
But the point I wanted to make was
we're going to go down a rabbit hole pretty soon.
Oh,
Did you know the Rizzos? Yeah, sure, the Rizzos.
Yeah.
They married the Ziccarelli boy, didn't he?
We were doing that before the show. We were sitting here going, "Do you know? Oh, you mean the ones from Chicago? Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah,
right,
oh, yeah,
right.
yeah, those assholes."
Exactly.
Yeah. But here's the thing. By the way, have you ever seen a guy with so much smoking stuff that's never smoked?
I love it. You got
Zippo lighters.
Yeah.
I got 2 of them right here. I got them all over the house. I love Zippo lighters.
I'm telling you, that's your retirement right there. You sell those on eBay.
I bought them on eBay.
Oh, well then yeah.
You know why? You know why I have them here?
With those. No, why?
Watch this. Watch this. You light it and put it out. I'll smell that. Tell me it doesn't remind you of your grandfather.
Bus. That reminds me of the buses in my hometown.
The buses.
Yeah, the bus fumes.
Really?
We would go as kids next to the street to inhale the bus fumes because they smelled great.
It's like, hey, Joey, you want to get high?
Yeah. That was our internet.
I know, a good Chevy down the street.
That's right.
It's the Chevy 60-passenger bus.
I grew up in an auto town, Kenosha, Wisconsin, which was the other auto town in the United States. It's where they built American Motors cars.
Yeah, everybody knows, yeah.
The Ambassador and the Javelin and the Pacer and things like that. So everybody had a American Motors car with all the pollution devices, anti-pollution devices ripped off them and just jacked up and headers on them and everything. So it was a crazy.
Back when you could do that sort of thing.
Yeah, right.
And see, Jeff, I know we got into cars, but I'm going all the way back to American Idol.
Go for it.
Yeah, on the final show on American Idol.
Yeah.
They would normally bring in 35, 38 million on their best years, right? On the final show.
Yeah. I would say probably maybe 30 million on the finale. Yeah.
Right. Okay. On any given Friday night, back in the day, the Beverly Hillbillies would bring in 60 million people when we barely had 200 million people in the country.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different ballgame. I mean, if you can grab a demographic that has their wallets open for a certain amount of products, that's all they care about. I mean, there's so many shows now, and they're successful because, it boggles our mind. You go, what's your ratings? They get maybe 2 million people. And you go, you'd have been canceled halfway through your first show with 200 million viewers. Now, if it's the right 2 million viewers, it's perfect. It's perfect. So
it's all about getting the niche. They talk about the niche. I used to say niche.
Branding. You got to brand. Man, oh man. Got to look out and brand. Brand for yourself.
Yeah, but everybody's a brand. The reason I even started a podcast, most people don't know this story, but I wrote Fitness Confidential with Dean Laurie, writer, producer, and the whole thing. Best known for what is it? My Wife and Kids.
Okay.
But also, what's the one everyone loves? Arrested Development.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of those guys. So Dean's a close friend. He said, write the book. So we wrote this book together, right? And then he takes it over to WME, and WME says, we love this book. And as a matter of fact, we love Vinnie. He's been working with our clients for years. But we Googled him, and he doesn't exist on Google.
Wow.
Like I did not exist on the internet 6 years ago.
Chance to start from scratch. What Italian wouldn't want that?
Yeah, it's like I looked at Dean.
Build an entirely new, healthy personality.
Yeah, it's like start over, man. You start over. You're almost 50. Start over.
Clean record.
Yeah, and so I said to Dean, Dean, they want me to do what? He goes, you need to go on the internet and become a guy on the internet.
Yeah, you got to get a presence.
So on day one, I said, well, that ain't going to happen. He goes, well, fuck it. The book is over with. We're done.
Yeah.
Just all that work we did, it's done because you don't have everything's on the internet.
Right.
So I said, okay. The next day I came in and I Googled because I knew how to use Google because I had figured out how to look at porn through Google.
Sure.
You put,
Well, it's you got to get the basic necessities.
So that's all I knew how to do was to look up porn, and so I Googled how to get famous on the internet or something to that thing, and I came up with 2 things. There was a girl named Jenna Marbles. I'm not making up that name.
All right,
Jenna Marbles, and she had like 3 million hits. And she was a young girl, maybe 18 years old, and she was sitting on the edge of a bed in a bikini. Right. And she was bummed out because she bought this brand new bikini, yet she didn't have enough money to make it to spring break.
Oh, boy.
She had a problem on her hands, Jeff.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Although I'm not sure in this day and age we want to go down this road, but keep going for a while. We might have to crack out the Zippos and take another hit. But go ahead.
You take that one.
Yeah.
I'll take this one. You ready?
Oh, that's
ready?
a nice Zippo.
Oh yeah, that one.
That's the Wild Wolf.
Yeah.
That's a
This
nice
one's
Zippo
got there. Class. This one's got. Someone gave me this one's got my name on it right there.
Wow.
Okay. I don't. Yeah. Oh, that one works too. And they all work. See that?
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Now you're ready for the rest
That's
of the
the
story.
assembly
Right?
line on 52nd Street.
Oh
Baby.
yeah. So I'm watching Jenna Marbles, and she's got 3 million hits. So later that day, I'm with Alex Mandel, Howie's kid. I said, Alex, you know a little something about the internet. I said, this Jenna Marbles, she's famous, right? He goes, yeah. She's got sponsors now. It's sponsored on YouTube. I said, huh. So then he and I went on the computer and looked up a few more. They had a guy duct taping a squirrel to a set of water skis, and that had 4 million hits and the whole thing.
Sounds healthy.
So I went, okay, I don't have a bikini, and nobody wants to see a hairy wop in a bikini. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to say this is about as undressed as we should get. Right.
Yeah, and I should.
In
have
fact,
more
this
clothes.
right here is a little too much.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of buttoning up. Yeah.
So I went, and I don't have duct tape. I can't duct tape any animal to anything.
Yeah.
So that's not going to work.
I'd advise against it.
And my nephew says to me, he goes, hey, why don't you do a podcast? And I said, what's that?
Yeah.
What's a podcast? And I said, he says, it's like, he goes, remember back in the 80s, you did that radio show in New Orleans? I said, yeah, Talking Fitness. He goes, it's just like that.
Is that?
And I said, look, you don't understand. With my voice, nobody in LA will hire me. He goes, no, you don't have to get hired.
Right.
He goes, you just turn on your computer and
Yeah.
you do a podcast. And as a matter of fact, he mentioned Carolla. He was a big, his demographics, he goes, Adam Carolla has one. I said, no, I think Adam Carolla's on the radio. I hear him in the morning.
Right.
Right. He goes, no, they fired him. I went, oh, they did? And he goes, yeah, he's doing a podcast now. And that was my whole.
That was your entree.
Yeah. Within a week, I had a podcast.
Wow.
And
You just get that little hookup. Yeah, I got to try me one of those. That's actually what I'm doing with Chet, is I just finally found a good landing place for my sportscaster character, Chet Waterhouse.
So tell me about the podcast. You just started. You have a few in the can.
Started. We're 3 in the can. And I have been doing them on and off at various incarnations, the Midwest, out here, do them in my act.
Yeah.
I still do a lot of stand-up and do Chet in the act because it's just fun. And I always loved sportscasters growing up. And the origin of it, actually, Vinnie, was because he sounds like he's got a little Bob Uecker in him and a little bit of Marv Albert. And, it's an amalgam.
Yeah.
People. But the heart and soul of it was a guy, when I was growing up in Wisconsin as a kid, there was a guy who did University of Wisconsin football. His name was Earl Gillespie out of Milwaukee. Yeah. And Earl and Wisconsin was horrible when I was growing up. They were a horrible college football team. Huh. They were getting plastered 66-3 consistently. But Earl would make the games sound exciting. And, I'm 10, 11, 12 years old listening on the radio. And, there's the kickoff from Illinois. Billy Merrick under it for the Badgers at the 5. He's churning, spinning, driving to the 6. Earl, I'm pretty sure the dude fell down, but he made it sound so exciting. I was like, I got to go to school there. And then I did. And then I always loved those guys who no matter what the event, no matter how crappy it was, they called it like the 7th game of the World Series. And I loved that enthusiasm. So I took that enthusiasm. Chet's not cynical. He's diehard. He loves what he does, even though he never cracked it in the majors. Chet does things like the International Speed Fishing Championship. It's a combination of ice fishing and speed skating. Norway's in the lead with an elapsed lap time of 52.3 seconds and 3 walleye. But Japan's right on their heels, strapping and see. Let's see who's going to win this one. He just loves that. International Speed Fishing brought to you by Burlap Skimpy Lingerie. The less there is, the less it itches. For her lap, try Burlap. So it's horrible commercial endorsements and just stuff like that. It's so much fun to do. And then I happened to, I knew a friend of mine named David Wild. He's a great music writer.
Yeah, I love David.
He's a fantastic guy, and we've worked on a number of award shows.
He looks like Danny DeVito.
He kind of does. He's like a benevolent Danny DeVito. It's great. and I knew he was doing Adam's podcast, and I said, can I just go hang out and see what you guys do? And he said, yeah, come on by. And he cleared it with the guys, and I went in, and then I had the idea, well, maybe they'd like Chet, and so I lobbied for it, and I did it once as a guest, and it was really funny. And then Adam just looked at me and he went, "You're Chet?" I remember, you doing Chet in the early 90s on K-Rock right before Jimmy got the sports gig, because I couldn't do it anymore. I got busy with Dennis Miller Live for HBO and things like that. And he said, "Man, I didn't know you were Chet." And then the whole thing just sort of snowballed. And now every couple of weeks I go on and do Chet. And that created enough traction for me to get Chet Waterhouse's own podcast. And it's called Play with Pain, which is Chet's sign-off.
Yeah, I love, I did the same thing with Corolla. I went on once. I have absolutely no talent, and they've been calling me back. So it's interesting that people with talent actually get on. But Chet, I remember going back to, I've always loved comedy. I love comedy like no one's business. And I've worked with a lot of comedians over the years. Carol Leifer.
Oh, sure.
Big client. Margaret Cho is who put me on the map out here in Hollywood. I was the guy who took all the weight off of her when she got a sitcom. Oh, wow. Back in the early 90s. And,
literally, you went behind her and picked up the weight.
Yeah.
And got it off her. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, that's my generation. Those are my people.
Yeah. Bill Engvall, big client for a long time.
Love Bill.
Do you know J.P. Williams?
I do.
Parallel?
My daughter goes to the school that J.P. Williams' wife started.
Shayla,
Pacific Point Academy.
Really?
Yeah. My daughter goes there.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. They started.
I'm doing a benefit for the school. What the hell? Let's start the promo early. May 8th at the Comedy Magic Club in Hermosa Beach with the great Brian Regan and Jay Leno and myself.
Love those guys.
And maybe, knock on wood, Bill Burr will come by and do a guest set. So we're going to do a big benefit for the school. This is a school, just make it quick. There's a lot of kids who fall through the cracks in public and private schools out here because of the combination of interesting learning disabilities and other things they might have, challenges. And even private schools that charge a ton of dough can't really service their needs. So J.P. Williams and his wife, Debbie, have a son who had an interesting combination of challenges and built a school based off of that. And now there's 40, 50 kids at it, and my daughter's there. And so we're going to do a benefit and raise a little dough.
Debbie and I have always joked that we may or may not have had sex at some point in our life.
Well, believe me,
it didn't happen.
If you worked at the Spotlight Agency, you don't know anything about your previous life. I was one of the Spotlight clients.
Yeah.
JP was one of the original Spotlight agents. I believe it was his dad who started
his
uncle started the company, Bob Williams. And they had everybody. This is the mid-'80s, late 80s, early 90s. They had everybody for personal appearance. They had Leno. They had Seinfeld. They had Bill Maher. They had Paul Rice. They had everybody.
You name it.
They had Rich Jenny. They had me, Larry Miller. And I was in a group that I like to call the Spotlight Stormtroopers. They would get, Spotlight was old school, forearm to the throat agency. They would just push you into booking. I used to do a thing that they could get a gig on wrong numbers. They would just call, wrong. Hello, Holiday Inn Saskatoon. Oh no, you have the wrong number. We don't have a comedy club. Well, yes, we have a banquet room, but that's not the. Well, sure, we have follow spots. You know what? Just send the comics, okay? They would literally just force you into a gig, and then almost universally, the first 4 comics through the gig would be Rich Jenny, Larry Miller, Carol Leifer, and me. So we would go do these crazy gigs they hooked up, make good money, and then they would see if the club had legs, and then they'd get Leno, and then they'd get Seinfeld, and then they'd get the A team, Wow. So the AAAs would go in first and see if the club had legs, but and that's how I met JP and his wife. They both worked at Spotlight. It's crazy.
Debbie, I met them out here, but turns out Debbie went to LSU. And I went to Tulane, but I would go to LSU on the weekends because all of my friends were at LSU. I grew up in that part of the swamp.
That's
and we always joke about, maybe we walked out of a bar together. JP would just go nuts when we would say that.
The Green Wave, Tulane, make no mistake, these kids have some heart. down 66-10. Let's see if they can't come back. You just never know with the Green Wave.
I played on the last 2 football teams to beat LSU in back-to-back years.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is a major accomplishment.
We beat them 48-7 in the Dome, in the Superdome. And
Wow.
then we came back the next year. They had already accepted the Orange Bowl bid. So when we walked on the field, I still have the jersey. It's hanging in Donaldsonville, Louisiana, in the First and Last Chance restaurant and bar. It still has the orange pelted in because they pelted us with oranges when we walked on the field.
That is
It
priceless.
rained in Tiger Stadium that night. We upset them 31-28.
Wow. Oh, man, that's a memory.
Last second, yeah.
What'd you play? What
I was a
position?
middle linebacker. I weighed 225 pounds. back
Good
then.
Lord.
Yeah, I was a big guy.
I
was a
would
big
have
guy.
pegged you as either a
A
punter
kicker. Yeah.
or that nickelback they bring in. He's quick. The kid's quick. Throw him in. He can follow the back out of the backfield.
He's sharp and he's got speed. That guy.
I love it down there.
Yeah, football. In the South, football is, everything. You live, breathe football from the time you're born. And
well, that was my sport too. When I was growing up in Wisconsin, I just loved football. I just never really had the size.
Yeah,
I was smaller, but I played it in grade school, and I had the brain for it. You know, I had good vision. I could see the field, and my my grade school coach, Mike Wenning, had the brains to go, you know what, maybe you should coach because you'll probably get killed if you try to keep doing this. And I did for a little while, and I still enjoy the game from an X's and O's standpoint. But man, with all this stuff happening now in football, it's hard to root at some point. It is hard to root with all of the CTE and all that stuff. It's just brutal.
It scares me. I do mental games all the time because a guy my size took a lot of hits.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
I played for a lot of years, took a lot of hits. And I look around and go, geez, do I have that? Am I messed up?
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys my age commit suicide and kill themselves, and when they start forgetting things and all this kind of stuff. And
but you're holding up pretty good. I don't know if anybody can see this. We're both about 5'9".
Yeah, I've lost height. Have you lost height?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My father passed away a couple years ago at 93.
Wow.
And the wake was just a parade of 120-pound, 90-year-old Italian bantamweights just coming up to me. Hey, loved your dad. He was a great guy. Take it care. Yeah. And then the next guy. Yeah, John Cecilia from, the next guy. Vito Mizzarelli. Your dad was a great, it was just a parade of these fit little Italians. What'd you have for dinner? I had a quarter of a chicken breast and 1 flower of broccoli. That was it? Yeah, I got tired. I'm going to bed. That's what old Italian guys do.
I used to watch my grandfather, my Uncle Joe. My grandfather had 11 brothers. He was one of 11 brothers and sisters.
Wow.
They would go to bed. They would like fry 1 egg and eat it and go to bed. I went, that's dinner? And they would look at me and go, in a depression? This was once a week. We get one once a night. Yeah. And none of them were heavy. They were all perfectly fit.
They got through the Italian mom wall, which is not easy to do because Italian mothers, as you know, will cook for their goal. An Italian mom's goal is to cook for you and feed you so much food that eventually your chest bursts open and you die, but your heart flops out on the ground with their name on it. And then they're happy. That's all they want. Yeah. That's all they want out of life.
Well, when I was a kid, I couldn't make this up. I'm going to tell you this story. Ask me to tell you a story about Dr. Hirsch because I'm going to forget it after I tell people
Dr. Hirsch.
about something very,
Jewish
very.
Doctor? That's weird.
Yeah, you never hear of that, right?
No.
And by the way, the only other person my mom dated, why couldn't she marry a Jew? Maybe I would have been something, a doctor or something. No, she had to go marry
wouldn't have been a middle linebacker, let me tell you that.
Oh, no, Brian Hirsch did not play. That's definite. But he was the team's, tape up our legs and all this.
Sure.
Okay, folks, before we get into Dr. Hirsch and what happened to me, Villa Capelli olive oil. Here's the deal. We've been talking about Villa Capelli on my show for, almost 6 years. And they've only been a sponsor for 4.5 years, which means I'm a bad businessman. We talked about these guys long before they ever stroked a check. That's how much I believe in this olive oil. Listen, olive oil, as I've said before, is like going to Bogota. You get there, you get the good Bolivian shale. You get the good stuff, right? By the time it works itself north, you get it to Mexico. They're cutting it with baby powder and the whole thing. By the time it gets across San Diego and the Texas border, where we're trying to build a wall, they cut it again. By the time you're trying to snort your cocaine, there's hardly any cocaine in it. The olive oil business does the same thing. You don't want olive oil that's been stepped on. You want the good stuff. What would Chet Waterhouse say about the good olive oil?
Man, oh man, get it from the source. Villa Capelli.
Exactly. Villa Capelli olive oil. Folks, go to VinnieTortorich.com. Click through the banner. When you get to checkout, put in the promo code Vinnie, V-I-N-N-I-E. Do not put the wimpy Y. If you do, I've instructed the boys over at Villa Capelli to charge you an extra 20%.
Yeah.
If you put IE on it, you will get 10% off your entire order. Check out the Herbes de la Provence. Check out all of the salts. They got this great salt. Serena puts the salt in everything. The other day I was trying to have ice cream. She threw the damn salt in it. Now, I don't eat ice cream, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Go on.
It's a big deal. I mean, now salt in desserts.
You can't get a piece of caramel without salt.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Villa Capelli olive oil. Vinnie, promo code VINNIE, no wimpy Y. Go do that, and you will thank me.
A little prosciutto, a little mozzarella, a little Villa Capelli.
Yeah. And some olives. If you want some, I can get some stuff for us to eat.
Oh, man, some soprasada. I'm ready.
It's all in the kitchen. We could go in there. We should have done this podcast from the kitchen.
That's right.
There's two wops sitting there having.
They're eating.
Stuff coming out of your mouth.
That's our life.
So Dr. Hirsch.
Yes, Dr. Hirsch. Let's get back to Dr. Hirsch.
Since he was our next door neighbor growing up, and we were good friends, my parents and the whole thing. And down on the bayou, they try to keep the Jews and the Italians right in one area so they keep an eye on us.
Yeah, exactly.
So we all lived right in the same area. And so whenever we had a problem, we didn't have to get my mom. We just walked to the doctor's office. It was about 3 blocks away.
Nice.
And we'd go there, and I walked in, and I must have been 11 or 12, and I told the nurse, I said, I need to see Dr. Hirsch. And she goes, well, what's wrong? And I said, I'm a very, very sick man. I got to see Dr. Hirsch now. And she goes, would you like to lie down? I said, no, I can sit in the waiting room. About 20 minutes later, they called me. Maybe 11, maybe 12, okay. Something like that. Yeah. And I go in, I'm sitting on the table with the paper on it, and Dr. Hirsch comes in, and I said, Doc, I'm a very, very sick man. And he goes, what's wrong? I said, oh, I'm bad off, Doc. This is not good. So he's doing the thing. He's putting the thing in my ear, tongue depressor, and looking in my eyes and breathe deep and the whole thing, and checking my heart. He goes, you feel, and you know how they used to press your stomach?
Sure.
Yeah. And he's doing the whole thing. He goes,
see if you swallowed a rock.
Yeah, does anything hurt? And I said, no, I'm fine. And he goes, are you sure? I said, Doc, nothing hurts. He goes, well, Vin, I give up. Why are you sick? You don't have a temperature. You don't have anything. There's nothing in your ears. I said, look at this, Doc. And I ripped my shirt open. And I said, look at this. And he goes, what am I looking at? I said, look at this. And he goes, I don't see it. I said, you can see my ribs. Look at this. And he goes, yeah, you look, that's fine. I went, what do you mean it's fine? He goes, you look perfectly normal for a young man, 11 years old. I said, not to my grandmother.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I run around the yard with my shirt off, she's like, oh, he's going to die. I can see his ribs. And she would chase me with bread. She would literally chase me with bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't get, they wanted you to be fat, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dom DeLuise is the ideal son for every Italian mother.
Oh, yeah. You ever see that movie done by, what's her name? Anne Bancroft? Fatso?
Oh, yeah.
Best movie ever.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all they want. That's what Italians want. And then, I don't know about your parents. My parents were super neat freaks. Super Catholic neat freaks. You could literally eat off my mom's kitchen floor using my dad's tools. That's how clean. Yeah, it was insane. And like you say, the money. I mean, there was no, like if I just remember I could get hit by a car and dragged like a half a mile, and my parents would come running out and run up, and the first thing my dad would say would be, "You didn't rip those jeans, did you? Because." You need those for school.
We got the same thing. Everything. We didn't have much money, We were middle class, but they decided to take their middle classness and put us all in private school.
Yeah.
Which I used to beg them, can you just put me in public school and buy me a mini bike? Can we do something like that?
Yeah. You got to go to Catholic school.
Oh, we were Catholic school poor. You know,
Yeah.
some people, we're house poor. We spend it all in the house.
Yeah.
We were Catholic school poor. And the crazy part about that is we had a Cadillac. So I would say to my dad, hey, can I have $5? I got a date tonight. Oh, what, am I made of money?
Yeah.
Dad, there's a fucking Cadillac outside.
That's his.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the Cadillac?
That's his.
Go make your own money. That's what we got.
Yeah, absolutely. That's his.
Crazy.
That Cadillac's his.
So
You're not touching that.
Let's get into health a little bit because it's a fitness podcast. Do we talk about your age?
Yeah. I'm north of 58. Let's go there.
Look, like I said, I was impressed. The first time I saw you in Carson when I was a kid, I was like, holy shit. This guy with a mullet, he's funny, he's good.
I had the Italian mullet.
We all had it.
Sure.
I'm not too proud to say I had one. I'd still have one if I could.
Yeah, my head was literally hiding inside some sort of helmet, hair helmet.
Yeah, those were the days. So you were around back then. You've been in Hollywood forever.
Yeah, I've been out here since 83.
Any health problems? You seem to be fit.
You know, pretty good. No major health problems. I have sort of exercise-induced asthma. I have some allergies. And I was fine until, and, you know, even historically with my parents, you know, my pop passed away at 93. My mom's still going strong. She's going to be 95 this April. Yeah, still living in the house, you know.
Really?
Italians are not giving up the house.
Yeah.
And that's in Wisconsin where it's, you know, -3 right now. So Hardy, my mom's side of the family had a lot of heart issues, things like that. And most of her, she had 5 sisters. Most of them passed away in the 70s, late 60s, 70s, that kind of stuff. She had one that recently passed away. So she's the elder, but she started eating healthier and cooking healthier for my dad maybe 40 years ago. So they hung in there. But my brother, I have 2 older brothers, one who's, you know, a bit overweight, but doing okay. And the other one, picture health, 130 pounds dripping wet, 2 years older than me. And boom, last year, starts climbing a flight of stairs in great shape, gets winded, goes to the doctor. A week later, he's getting a quadruple bypass surgery.
Your brother?
Yeah. So I go in then for a heart scan, calcium scan, and my calcium score is way north of my SATs. So I'm like, shit, all right, let me.
What was it, though?
1377.
Wow. Yeah. On calcium.
On my calcium score, which is, yeah, you know, great if you're at the betting line at Caesars, but for your calcium score, it's not good. So I got on Crestor and been eating healthier. Now I've always had a sweet tooth, but I've never been heavy. I've always tried to keep myself under, you know, 175 if I can. So I'm probably low 170s right now and eating better and trying to exercise and stuff. So I've always been pretty good at that. And I've never been into wheat much. I always thought wheat kind of gave me a problem. Yeah. Even as a kid, even when I didn't know, drive my mom crazy. I'd get a burger or an Italian sausage or something, just take it right out of the bun and eat the meat. Yeah. Yeah. Because I just didn't like the bread that much. I just thought this is a bunch of filler. And then at several points in my life, I've done cleanses and just 3 or 4 days, you know, nothing, no psycho crazy stuff. What
were you cleansing? What were they telling you were cleansing? You're in the middle of Hollywood and the whole thing. Everyone's cleansing something.
You know, I did a good thing. I did like an ultra clear thing just to kind of get, you know, when you're on, when you're eating like crap for a year on and off, even though you're trying to eat healthier, you get rid of a lot of toxins and stuff like that, or a lot of just stuff hanging around in your system. I don't even want to go too deep into it. I mean, because I don't know. Right. But I always felt better after doing it. And then you start back by eating a little cleaner, a little more natural. And then when I would do that, I would eat a lot less grains, a lot less wheat. I just did it naturally anyway. And then especially in the world of television production, you eat crap when you're on these gigs because you're working 18-hour days. And so I had just finished the Queen Latifah show, which was a great experience to work on, and she was a blast. But God Almighty, we were working 18-hour days. It was insane. And so when we finished that, And I was getting these sinus infections.
Right.
Like impacted sinuses for 10 days. Couldn't breathe in, couldn't breathe out. Had to sleep sitting up. Finally did a 5-day cleanse. But by day 3, you're eating apples or potatoes or raw vegetables or whatever you want to eat. So you're eating. You're not like trying to go crazy and starve yourself. So I would do that, and I started to feel better. I did that for like 6 months, eating healthier, eating cleaner stuff, and I just stopped eating wheat. And for the most part, I stopped eating other grains too, although I had like oatmeal and stuff like that. But so I kind of tamped that down, and it's been 3 years, nothing. Now I get a cold. I just get a cold like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, I get a cold and then I'm done with it after a week. And you go, holy crap, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
So I keep it out of my system. I'm probably not nearly as strict as you.
Oh, I live very strict because I don't want my cancer to come back.
Right. You know, and knock on wood, that will maintain for you, and I'll be lucky enough to avoid that bullet. But so I try to keep my carbs under 80 for a day. You know, if I'm treating myself under 100, but you know, I try to keep them under 80. You know, some days I'll get by a 40 or 50. I'm the whole ketogenic sort of get into ketosis thing. I just went, I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah, it's too far. People ask me because it's somewhat, conflating, if you will, because my whole thing is no sugars, no grains.
Yeah.
You can still not be in dietary ketosis if you just cut out sugars and grains.
Yeah.
You know, because you're eating enough vegetables that you will not be in dietary ketosis.
Right.
So then people go, well, why, Vinnie, are you in ketosis? And the main reason is I don't try to be in ketosis, but with all you saw the exercise equipment behind this thing. I'm like a rat on a goddamn wheel. I just sit here and I'm always
There's a human gyro ball behind you.
Yeah, it
gets in and spins.
It's crazy what goes on behind that curtain. And between that and the fact that I'm eating no sugars and no grains, and I only eat meat and vegetables and fish and what have you, I'm always, if I pricked my finger right now and tested it, I would be in dietary ketosis.
Right,
you know?
right.
Do I think it's okay for people to live there? Yeah, people do it successfully all day long.
Right.
But it's restricting. That's why I always say if you want to fix your health, you just have to cut out the sugars and grains.
Yeah.
You know, the aforementioned Adam Carolla, the guy wants to be in good shape. He wants to look good, right?
Right.
But he also has Sundays when he does football with cousin Sal and cousin everybody. And, you know, everyone's invited over there except me. Do you ever go over there?
I've not had the privilege yet to go over.
So these wops don't get to go over. We don't make the cut. Nick Santoro told me one week, he said, hey, I'm going over to Carolla. I'm going to stop by and pick you up. I said, did Carolla invite me?
Yeah.
He goes, no, he loves you. I went, yeah, I love him too, but he didn't invite me. I'm not going to show up.
You don't want to clear that customs before.
Yeah. But he goes, he loves you. I'm like, yeah, but I wasn't invited. They just passed my house.
And Kimmel, who's half Italian, is a great cook. So there's a food spread of Cousin Sal's over there that's going to beat the band. So.
Oh, they tell me what goes on. They bring in Zeke's barbecue. Have you ever had Zeke's barbecue?
I have not had Zeke's barbecue.
Yeah, even without the sauce, it's still great.
Well, you know, that's the other thing, Vinny. I've never been a huge sauce guy. I mean, I like the flavor of sauce, and I like, and I mean all kinds of sauce. Barbecue sauce, Italian sauce, great. And here's the thing that I never knew was that weird, but people single me out now, which is I never liked salad dressing. I mean, I like it. You know, I'll have ranch once in a blue moon or even Italian here and there. But after a while, you know, I like the taste of the vegetables. I like how they mix. Maybe a little salt, a little pepper. I'm done. And it's really hard for people they just think that's the weirdest thing they've ever seen.
Right.
And I've just always liked salad that way. And then even meat, like if I get pulled pork or something, all right, let's slather it with barbecue. No. I just want the pulled pork.
Yeah.
I just want the meat because that's already flavored in a delicious fashion.
Yeah, it's already a flavor.
Somebody went through the ringer to cook this in a smoker with the right wood. And let me taste that.
Yeah, why covered in sugar?
I'm going to start there. So I do, and I do still have some sugar, but I'm getting to an age, I'm getting like those old Italian guys, where you go, all right, you know what? I got a chocolate bar. I'm going to have one square every day.
Yeah.
For 10 days. You know what I mean? I go,
And there's
okay.
nothing wrong with that.
I know.
Yeah.
I just want the flavor. You know, and I go, and I even count, all right, that's 6 carbs, or, you know, hey, a serving. And then I can't believe the amount of math I'm doing because I suck at math.
Yeah.
I literally had to take statistics in college.
Yeah.
And I thought it was stuff like, did you know no two snowflakes are alike? I had no idea it was even math. So I'm horrible at math, but now I add that stuff together. Serving of maple syrup, 53 carbs. You go, holy crap, 50, but it's 3 tablespoons.
Yeah.
And I go, well, I only use a teaspoon in my yogurt. That's only about 7 or 8 carbs. Now, if I keep, all right, let me keep this.
Keep that number running.
Yeah, right. Keep the meter running because that's the old economic meter from the old times. It's like it's like your dad, $5. What? I don't have $5 this week. Yeah. Maybe next week I got $5. This week I don't have $5. I got the meter running up here.
Yeah.
We got bread. Then I got to get the brakes fixed. Then your mom needs something. No, I don't have $5. So that monetary meter is always going. I just switched it over to carbs. Yeah. And now I'm trying to keep it under about 80 if I can.
Yeah, you know, I do the thing, and I know you do it too because all Italians do it. You know, we don't get taxes taken out, right? You get a check, and then you got to keep. And my entire life is keeping the meter running on the taxes.
Yes.
You know, do you do that?
I had to switch it finally, just because I could do it as a single guy. But married, it was impossible. It was impossible to try to explain the kind. It was like Albert Brooks in the American movie where Coming to America. No. That's
no. The one where he goes Santa Claus. That one.
The one where he goes, I don't believe you understand the concept of the nest egg.
Yeah. Santa Claus. I'm not. Santa
So
Claus.
I could never explain it, and it was too anal retentive. Lost in America.
Lost in America.
And it you know, and it was time for me to break out of it anyway. And my wife had tremendous ideas about, like, because, you know, honestly, and I don't mean to harp on the Italian thing, but Italians were not known for their investment skills. It was like shove it in the mattress.
Oh yeah.
Because of the Depression.
Oh yeah.
So my wife comes along and goes, you don't have anything in the market? You know, and I'm like, I'm 44 making money, and she's like, dude, you better get on it, because your retirement's in like 15 years. I mean, you know, if you want to, like, so she opened me up, and that's when I went to a different system where I said, let me do a corporation and then pay me a check. So all the taxes are taken out, so I can stop that meter and put it on the carbs.
Yeah.
Where it belongs.
Yeah, right.
Where the math's a little easier.
But my thing is, if I get $1,000 check, right, I know that 38% of it is going to the government, right?
Right.
So in my mind, I go, okay, if 38%, so that's 40. And then in my head, I inch it up to 50. So then I'll say, all right, $500 goes into a special account that I will then give to Uncle Sam at the end of the year.
That's right.
Yeah, and whenever I have a couple of bucks left over, I look at that as my tax return, because the government has sent me one tax return in my life. It's been sitting on his desk. Let me see if I can find it. If you think I'm
that's
kidding.
great.
It's been sitting on his goddamn desk.
Sure.
Here it is. I got to show you this.
Yeah.
Do something. Do Chet while I'm pulling this goddamn thing out.
Oh, brother. Look out. We got the Super Bowl coming. This is Chet Waterhouse.
All right, that's enough. Save it. We're going to do it later. All right. Government sent me one check in my life.
Yeah, let me see.
I refuse to cash it. I refuse to fucking cash it. Tell the audience what's written on that goddamn check.
It is. Hang on. It's real. $2.41.
I got one check in my entire life back from the IRS.
Add 9 cents to that, you got a small coffee.
Speaking of coffee, you've been drinking my Pure Coffee Club coffee.
Love it.
Over there.
Delicious.
You like it?
No bitter aftertaste.
You want a pound to go?
Love it.
Yeah, I'll give you a pound
sure.
to go. Yeah,
a pound to go. That sounds like every Italian deli I've ever been in. You like the sandwich? Good. Get a pound to go? Yeah. All right. Yeah.
We were having a good time talking about our Italian families. Like, it's amazing.
Oh, it's crazy
how, you grew up. Your family was up in
Wisconsin, Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Yeah, mine was down in New Orleans, and we're both Calabrese. Half Calabrese, half Sicilian.
Yeah,
and
I'm full Calabrese.
Yeah, and my mom, we were talking about that. My mom married outside of Italians.
Oh yeah, they were Sicilians. That's a whole different weird thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they think, they'll just cut you with a knife. It's like, where'd that come from? Who was cutting who with a knife?
Yeah. But it was probably true. I mean, you know, that's the great immigrant story of America, is that regardless of who came over, regardless of how they got here, that whatever the newest immigrant nation was that was coming over, they were the ones who filled the ghettos. Yeah. They were the ones who then got into entertainment and sports.
Right.
You know, whether it was the Irish, the Italians, the Jews, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
That was the next one up. Next one up, bring them in. We need more boxers. Bring in the next group of immigrants to let them beat the hell out of each other.
Didn't Max Baer, speaking of Jewish boxers, Max Baer Sr., he killed a man in the ring, right?
Boy, you got me there.
Yeah. I'll never forget when Boom Boom killed that guy in the ring.
Yeah, right, Boom Boom. Yeah, I do.
My Uncle Frank, my great Uncle Frank.
Kim? I think
yeah.
So, yeah.
You see, you got that kind of weird memory, too.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there with my Uncle Frank, and he kills this guy in the ring, and Uncle Frank turns to me, and he goes, Boom Boom is done.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about? He goes, once you kill a man in the ring, you're done.
Yeah, for that, I mean, how do you get your focus back? How do you get any sort of concentration back after you realize what a barbaric sport you're actually in?
Well, you know, he
especially for an
worried
Italian. I mean, he was a good guy.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't one of those, you know, Tyson had that mentality, at least for a while.
Yeah.
That was kill or be killed. I think any boxer has to have it.
You have to.
But then when it actually happens, you know, and even since then, even a guy like Tyson has opened up this whole world of actually humanity inside of him. And, you know, a softy like Ray Boom Boom Mancini, he's an old Italian kid.
Yeah.
You know, just forget
it. He's on the west side somewhere.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he's over there. He's got a restaurant or something.
Wow.
Yeah, come on, he's a WAP. He's going to have a restaurant.
That's great.
Well, yeah, I'll never forget my Uncle Frank. And the other thing I remember about Uncle Frank, he had a dump truck service. After the war, after the big one, WW2, he never got a telephone. So if you wanted to call him, you had to call my grandfather's house. And he'd come over. He didn't want a phone. He didn't want to be bothered.
No, I got work to do.
He said, look,
distraction.
Don't bother me. Number one, he grew gardens.
They're not going to, oh, yeah. Well, one of the reasons we're middle class is we were lower middle class. We grew up, if you look at it, honestly, you go, lower middle class. This is just above the poverty line. But they grew gardens. Yeah. They kept gardens. They kept them nice. And they shared inside the family and with other Italians in the neighborhood. So somebody was growing pumpkins and zucchini. Somebody else was growing all the herbs. And it was like a whole supermarket. And then there was some with chickens. And you just go, this is like crazy.
Same thing. Here's the thing. We had our family garden, 6 acres. That was our family. Wow. We grew. You ready for this? We grew somewhere around 3,000 pounds of sweet potatoes every year.
Holy smokes.
3,000. So not just our family ate, not just anyone, everybody in town called Uncle Frank, because he walked around with a wad of bills, a big, like,
that's great.
You know what I'm talking about, wrapped up.
Yeah, sure.
With the rubber bands. And he would, you know, hey, Frank, look, I'm done. Here you go. Wow. You didn't even have to say I'm down on my luck. Hey, Frank, I'm done. Here you go. Here you go. So everybody, my whole life, I'm like, he's got one dump truck. He never asked for anybody for money from this garden. The whole family, like if I had a date, that $5 my dad wouldn't give me.
Uncle Frank.
I'd go over to Uncle Frank and I'd go in the garden. I'd pick a bunch of turnips. I'd pick a bushel of that. I'd pick a bushel of tomatoes, whatever was good at the time. I'd go out front, set up a table, make money. Then I can go on my date when I'm 15. That's the way it worked.
That's great.
And, but I always wondered, it's like, man, when I grow up, I'm going to get myself a front loader and a dump truck because Uncle Frank is always loaded.
He's set.
He's set, right? He never asks anyone for money. He always seems to have money. So then Frank dies. He dies of stomach cancer or something. He's like 90 years old. And I go to Louisiana. I go to the funeral. He was my great uncle. He's my grandfather's brother. Yeah. But they're all family, right? I'm at the funeral, and this old Italian man walks up to me. He's from way down the bayou. We grew up on the bayou. And I hadn't met him before. I didn't know the guy. I said, hi, my name is Vinnie. I'm his great nephew and the whole thing. And he turns to me and goes, Frank ran the numbers like no other human being. Sure. Frank ran the numbers. You understand what I'm telling you? And it's like, yeah, I understand that. He didn't make any money on that dump truck service. Right. I always wondered how he had that wad, that big wad.
Sure. Yeah, that's not coming from moving dirt.
You ran the numbers.
That's not coming from digging a berm for the new highway. My great uncle, Uncle Joe, would just lived about 6 blocks away. Would walk over to our house, and would tie string on the trees where my dad was supposed to prune the branches.
Holy shit! Frank used to do that with the tomato bushes.
Yeah.
He would not take a string. He would take little
because
ribbons.
The kids, they don't know where to prune anymore.
Yeah.
We would tie these little things. They go in the backyard, pear trees, plum trees, string hanging all over.
Let me see if my cousin Donna is in here, because she would, like, if you see Donna Barbier, she's Donna Latina. If you see her
have to
somewhere,
push this. I'm gonna have to put these babies on.
This girl, Sybil Marcella, she's married to a while. Went to high school.
Marcello.
Yeah, they all come in. They probably, most of them left the thing at this point. We don't see Donna. Yeah, Donna still farms the land that.
Oh, that's
great.
Great.
My friend Caroline. Caroline, she's in my book. She's a good friend of mine.
Oh, that's great.
She'll drive you nuts. I don't even like to go to dinner.
Designed to
we
drive you
just
nuts.
look at each other and yell the whole time. So we don't even go to dinner anymore. And so, Chet, here's what we're going to do. You got a podcast, right?
I do.
And you do the whole thing in Chet?
As Chet Waterhouse, that is correct. I stay in character the entire time. For me, it's not really a character. I just enjoy it. I like talking to people. I like finding out about their lives. We start with a little update from me, and then I go into an interview. It's only about 15 minutes long, and then I do a little Fiery 4, which is hot news items ripped from the headlines, although nobody has headlines anymore because newspapers are going in the toilet, so it's more cut and pasted from the internet headlines, but it sounds better to say ripped from the headlines. And then I always have my guests give me a pop quiz, so they ask me 5 or 6 questions, and usually I don't know anything. And then we wrap up the podcast, and we're done.
Wow.
That's about it. So like this week, got Jay Moore coming in. I'll probably do some kind of Super Bowl wrap-up Monday. That's when we do the podcast, and we post it on Wednesday. Big Jay Moore and his Warriors coming in Monday. Gonna be a good one. Super Bowl this Sunday. You gotta watch. You gotta watch.
Oh, yeah.
New England Patriots, like a waitress with a bad memory. They just keep coming at you. Philadelphia Eagles fans, not afraid to get human blood and excrement on a T-shirt cannon. They're not booing those Philly fans. They're saying, oh, no, wait, they are booing. The Philly fans are definitely booing. Man, oh, man, who will it be? Let's strap in and see my prediction. New England 76, Philadelphia 10, but it's going to be a lot closer than that score indicates. That update brought to you by Throwbacks, the e-cigarette you light with a match. And Motorboats, the restaurant that's just a little more fun than Hooters. This is Chet Waterhouse reminding you to play with pain.
Oh, God. Chet, I got to invite myself onto your show, man.
Man, we got to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, Chet talking to someone who's a nutrition guy and a fitness guy.
Oh, yeah.
Get out of here. 200 miles? You were on a bike for 200 miles? I haven't logged that in my car yet. 200 miles on a bike. Let me ask you this. Your ass still in one piece? 200 miles on a bike?
Yeah.
That's got to sting. I don't care what side you butter your bread on. And why, oh, why the split seat? Splits your cajones. One's on one side, one's on the other side. I don't know about that. So better have your kids now before you get into that triathlon thing. Triathlon? No way. I'm not trying that. I tell you, I bought me a Stairmaster. I've been staring at it. No, we'll have you on. It'll be a blast.
So, Chet, now I'm going to start calling you Chet, Jeff.
That's okay.
You know, it does have Bob Uecker in it. You can always hear the Bob Uecker.
Yeah, little Uecker.
Do people remember Bob Uecker when he had his whole, that whole...
Yeah, I think they remember him. An older generation remembers him from the Miller High Life commercials, Miller Lite commercials.
Yeah.
And then I think people still remember him a lot from the baseball movie. What was the movie about the Indians?
Wild Thing. I call it Wild Thing. But
yeah, with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
And he was great in that. Jeez, he was funny. But if you want a refresher course on Bob Uecker, you could probably YouTube it. Both Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang have unbelievable anecdotes about working with Bob Uecker, and I'm sure they're on YouTube somewhere, whether it's the Stern Show or something. Unbelievably hilarious anecdotes about Bob Uecker. Truly one of the funniest guys on the planet. He used to go on the Tonight Show. Speaking of the Tonight Show,
yeah, I remember.
And I would watch him and go, "How does anybody maintain a deadpan?" He was Stonehenge.
Oh yeah,
he was nothing. It was hilarious. It was unbelievable. His deadpan, great comic timing.
Artie Lang.
Yeah,
is he going to make it? Speaking of what?
That's interesting. He's an interesting guy. He is maybe one of the funniest guys on the planet.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. Great writer, very funny.
Great writer,
very talented.
Such a pro. And I mean, not necessarily one of these guys for whom it came super easy.
Right.
You can see the work when another stand-up watches a stand-up. When I watch Artie, I see the body work there. I see him going to the heavy bag. I see him coming up, throwing a jab. All of a sudden, bang, pow, there's the punchline. Yeah. You see that work and you go, wow, this guy has worked and worked and worked at his craft. In addition to that, he's quick off the top of his head. Nobody gets on the Stern Show as a regular without that ability.
Right.
Always loved him and was always very complimentary of me as well, which was always refreshing. It's always nice for me to know that other comics enjoy what I do. So I hope he does, because he's incredibly gifted.
Yeah.
And just such a funny human being. And for me, everything is that. I think it's such a pure gift that still needs to be worked on, and a talent and a skill and an art. But to see somebody that funny, the bottom line for me is that funny. When that's there, just you got to find a way. You're here to do that.
Yeah.
You're here to preserve that. You're here to be the next, George Burns. You should be doing this when you're 100, Artie.
Yeah.
Because you can. I mean, what other fucking job can you get up at 100? And people go, yeah, I'll pay $75 to go see that.
I'd go watch him at any age.
Oh,
he's
hilarious,
good, right? Another comedian I like. He's been on the show a few times. I've done his show. Robert Kelly. Are you familiar?
Yes, very funny.
When you think Artie Lang, Robert Kelly, the work, the timing, everything.
And more subtle than you would think. You look at Robert Kelly, and he looks like an MMA guy or something. I mean, he's a big guy. He's a big Boston guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
you go, oh, geez, he's going to come in with that heavyweight, this, and he's not. He's just like crafty, light on his feet.
He is light on his feet.
Yeah.
So a big, giant guy.
Yeah.
Right?
And smart and funny. I like Robert Kelly a lot.
He wears it on his sleeve. I love to watch him work.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah, I like him a lot.
And you go down to the Village. Whenever I'm in New York, I go down there. And, those guys are just killing.
I started to do stand-up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm a Midwest guy. I went to New York and LA to do open mics. I was so bitten by the bug as a kid, and every comedy show I went to, I realized as a crowd member, I got to get on. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be up there.
Yeah.
It just was this compelling alien being inside of me that had to get out. And I went up to Minneapolis to start comedy. And I started with a great generation of comics, Louis Anderson and Joel Hodgson, who invented Mystery Science Theater 3000, and Liz Winstead, who came up with The Daily Show, and just some tremendously talented writers and comedians. Yeah. And I moved to LA right away, after 3 years in Minneapolis, and it just was the place to go. And out here, and I'm from Kenosha, Wisconsin. People think I'm from New York because the way
people think I'm from New York.
And I grew up in a blue collar industrial town, so there's a little bit of that Chicago / East Coast accent. So they just assume I'm from New York. Then they spend 5 minutes with me, and they know I'm from Wisconsin. They go, "This guy doesn't have the guile to survive on a New York street for more than 6 seconds."
Yeah,
I'm just not that guy.
Right.
But in LA, I stayed so to myself that it was often mistaken for arrogance or just standoffishness.
Yeah,
just because I was so fucking shy that I didn't even know how to come up to guys at the clubs.
Yeah.
New York, went there just to try to work the same thing. First time standing in Catch a Rising Star. Louis Ferranda was the bartender who then went on to book Caroline's.
Yeah.
And I'm alone in the club. I'm just standing there like an idiot, waiting to see if I can get a spot. And he looks over at me, looks down the bar. I'm at the end of the bar. He goes, "You want a beer?" And I go, "Oh, yeah, I'd love a beer." Boom, beer comes out. I always felt welcome and comfortable at New York rooms, no matter how cutthroat or competitive it was in New York. And maybe it's because I wasn't coming out of the New York scene, but it felt warmer. It felt more, when I was a monologist, I told jokes. I wrote jokes and told jokes. So, I didn't have a character or anything like that. So it was always a second home to me comedically. And I always felt comfortable there. And guys like that come from that scene. They come from that world. Yeah. Robert Kellys of the world and everybody.
You just think of those Boston guys as just being tougher than the rest of them.
Oh, man,
They are. And
well, they had to be. Look at the rooms they worked. There's some Chinese restaurant up there.
Yeah. You're right.
There's a club in it. Oh, Jesus, really?
Yeah.
They had to go there?
And that's what they did, but they're all tough. But when you
talk an auto shop that cleared out the tire rack and 30 people can fit in. The Boston guys go, "Yeah, we'll do a show there."
It's crazy.
And I love those guys too. Leary and all those guys. Oh my God. Barry Crimmins. I mean, Don Gavin, all those guys. Loved them. Tough. I learned toughness from those guys.
Yeah, and they are tough. But when you talk to Bobby and those guys off the stage, they're pussycats.
Oh yeah. They're smart guys.
Yeah, just the nicest guys in the world. I had a brush with comedy. It was just a brush. I had a brush because when I left New Orleans, I had my show Talking Fitness. It was on WSMB in New Orleans, AM station. It was a popular show. I came out to LA. I figured I'm going to be out here for a couple of weeks. People are going to discover I had this top show. I had my DAT tapes because that's what you had back then.
Right.
Went around the Westwood One. I went to all of them. Right. Nobody would even listen to my tape.
Yeah.
It's like you sound. They said to me, "You sound like an idiot." They would tell me that to my face. You don't sound smart. I said, "You sound jockey." You sound. It's like you realize it's a fitness show, right?
Yeah. You want it to sound jockey.
You're not the guy for us and the whole thing. So I felt like I was losing my timing because I hadn't been up on the mic for a long time. And someone convinced me to go do some open mics. They said, "Just go get a mic in your hand." So I looked around, and there was no Google back then. We're talking 1991. So I would pass by on Melrose. I would pass by the Improv, and I saw a sign that says "Open Mic Night." It was like Tuesday nights or something. All right. So I stood in line. I figured you had to go stand in line during the day. And I stood in line. I got there. I was one of the first 10, 15, whatever they take. And I went up, and they give you 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's brutal.
So I went up and I did 5 minutes. For me, it doesn't, as you notice, there's no notes here. I never use notes or anything. Right. I mean, all of my preparation was looking from a check from the IRS to show you.
Yeah.
And so I go up, I do 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes, the light comes on, and I said, "Thank you guys, and see you never again." And after the show, I'm walking out, and this guy comes up to me. He goes, "Hi, my name is Mark." I said, "Hi, Mark. I'm Vinnie." He goes, "I know who you are. I just saw your thing." He goes, "Would you like to come back and do it again?" It was Mark Lanow.
You sure?
Yeah. So I went.
Famous improv club owner, booker.
He and Bud Freeman owns the Improv. So I said, "Sure." He goes, "You don't have to wait in line next Tuesday. Just come back in next Tuesday and give me another 5 minutes." He goes, I don't want to hear any of your 5 minutes that you just did. And all I said to myself was, I don't remember what I just did because it wasn't written down.
Right, off the top of your head, yeah.
I went back the next week. Now I wrote something down.
Sure.
I do 5 minutes. Mark says, "Come back next week and bring me 7 minutes." Okay. So I went home and wrote another 2 minutes.
Nice.
He had me up to 10 minutes, and then he asked me to start hosting the night.
Great.
So I'm hosting the Tuesday night, when they can't get anybody else in the club. Everybody's got their friends there.
Yeah.
Of course, I have no friends. I just moved to LA. I still have no friends. I've been here for 27 years.
It's a hard town.
It takes a while. You want to be my friend?
Sure.
I got you and Nick Santora. Now I got 2. So I went, okay, 10 minutes. And I'm hosting the night now, and I do a couple of jokes and I bring someone up and I do a couple of jokes. And then Mark says to me, he goes, we need to put you on the road. I said,
Wow.
What are you talking
Nice.
about? He goes, we'll put you on the road. We'll pay you $50. I said, the road, what does that mean? He goes, you'll be in these comic flop houses. And he's telling me this.
Probably described it a little bit of that just to sell it.
No, he wasn't trying very
he
hard.
wasn't sugarcoating it.
He said, but if you want to be a comic, you need to
Hit
get
the
on
road,
the road.
work. Yeah.
And I said, I don't think you understand. I'm not a comic. He goes, no, you are. I said, I'm not. I'm just doing this to keep my chops up until someone sees that I have talent for radio. And he goes, you don't have a radio voice. You're a comic. And I said, no, I'm not.
Right.
He says, but you have a point of view.
Yeah.
And that I didn't realize that's all a comedian needs.
That's what you strive for. And some guys like you have one that has a natural core to it when you start, and other guys, myself included, have to work at it and kind of come at it from 3 or 4 angles until you just zone it in, and finally you got it after 30 years.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think the problem is that I wasn't self-conscious of what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get up on stage and dance because I wanted to keep a mic in my hand.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking at a career.
Yeah.
So I think, there was no pressure.
Loosey-goosey, yeah.
Right. And then after a while, he goes, look, if you're not going to go on the road, we can't keep, And they brought me up a few more times, and I started getting clients, and I forgot about it. But it ended up paying dividends later, because now Mike August books me into Flappers and Irvine Improv and everywhere.
Sure.
I go and do 90 minutes, of.
Oh, that's awesome.
Of nothing. I just do 90 minutes.
90 minutes of nothing.
Yeah, it's like, go up.
The Vinnie Tortorich story. 90 minutes of nothing. I love that.
So I promised to only keep you for 45 minutes. We're over an hour here. So we're going to do 2 things. First, we're going to end the podcast, and then we're going to end the Facebook Live.
Okay.
So, folks, if you like what's going on here, you know what to do. Go to, we all go shopping on Amazon. But before you do that, go to VinnieTortorich.com. Click through the banner. It puts a little coal in the fire. It gets my train down the track. And when you do that now, when you click on that banner, it takes you to a special place. That's my own little spot, my page on Amazon. They gave me my own page. You can see all the stuff I recommend over there. And every Monday, Anna and I will pick a winner. So please do that. But I think that's it. So on behalf of Jeff Cesario and Chet Waterhouse.
Brought to you by Daylight. It's everywhere until about 6:30 or so.
Thank both of you guys for coming in.
Our pleasure.
On behalf of those 2 guys, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living and do it with enthusiasm. And play with pain, right?
Play with pain.
All right, so the podcast is over with, so we need to close out right here, folks.
All right.
Thank you guys for coming in on the Facebook Live. Thanks for hanging with us on a Friday. Here's the thing. Go share this. This is how other people find us, is by sharing it. So as soon as this is over with, I'm going to turn it into a video, and you guys can go off and share it. So, Chet, you want to say goodbye?
Once again, this is Chet Waterhouse, brought to you by Maserati, the Jewish sports car.
And we'll make that the final word. Thanks, Jeff.
My pleasure.